You're in tune to the Powerhouse Radio, linking the world to the Caribbean. Disclaimer. The views and opinions expressed on the Powerhouse Radio station are those of the host, guests, and callers, and not necessarily those of this station, its management, or other hosts or advertisers. The show, found on the Powerhouse Radio station, can promote any lifestyle, belief, religion, political affiliation, or other personal practice. These shows are for entertainment purposes only and are not intended to treat, diagnose, and or claim any cure of disease or conditions. Opinions stated by various contributors to the Powerhouse Radio and its programming are not to be considered as endorsed by the Powerhouse Radio station. Visitors are urged to use their own discernment to draw their own conclusion. We emphasize the importance of keeping an open mind.
Victorious 89.1. 89.1.
Yeah. You listen to the sounds of DJ Fourth Quarter in your ear right now. If you're in your car, if you're at home, if you're on your phone, that's right, baby.
Driving home and you're feeling kind of tired. Radio play the same thing every day. So you need a little switch in your life. Traffic got you jammed up every night. Tune in to Powerhouse. Wednesday, 7 to 9. You need to check them out. I promise I ain't trying to hype. But one good listen tonight, it might change your life. So what's the name of the show? When you need something to just ride to on the go. Or you might be home, so log on. You can even dial in on your phone. I promise that you're gonna love it. Just try it one time, it'll blow your mind. Now I'ma say it just one more time. Every Wednesday from 7 to 9.
Let's gripe. 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 Let's gripe.
Good evening. It's December the 11th. Welcome to the PowerhouseRadio.com with Let's Gripe. Hey, Mckenna.
Hey, Tonia. Happy Wednesday. Let's Gripe. How is everybody doing? How's your week been? Good to see you.
Oh, my goodness. The week has been too fast for me. It was just Friday last week. It was just Friday. And now we're on a new week of Wednesday. I'm just saying.
I mean, apparently it's 2 weeks until... Apparently, that's what somebody said. Somebody said it was like 2 weeks from today, and I said
2 weeks from today.
I was like, oh.
Yes,
yeah.
They're exactly right. 2 weeks from today. We just got over Thanksgiving, and it's funny because I still had some pasta salad in the refrigerator, and then I had to think about it. I was like, oh, and it smells still good. Just a regular pasta, no mayonnaise, whatever. So it's hanging on in there. I was like, oh, okay, but it's been 2 weeks.
Yeah, it's. I have a 7-day rule in my house, so after 7 days, I'm like, and then sometimes I have to remember, like, which day is today? The 8th day? I can't remember. But when in doubt, throw it out.
It seemed like last Thursday was Thanksgiving to me, though. That's what I'm trying to say.
My gripe today is once somebody told me that it was 2 weeks until Christmas, I was like, oh, let me go in and put in a vacation day. Why would I think that there would be vacation left available to use 2 weeks before the holiday?
Maybe because you just thought that it probably would have been.
I miscalculated that. And I had to move some things around. I mean, I'm going to make it work because it's what Mckenna does. I mean, we're going to make it work. But I was very naive in thinking that, that there would be some vacation available.
Yeah, because it seemed like it's so far. Christmas is so far away, but yet it's so close.
It's so close. So, but I hope that people who are out there doing their shopping have, made their list. And, there are people who really enjoy this time of year and really enjoy shopping and being out there with the crowds. And so if this is your time of year to go out there and catch sales and swipe your credit card and enjoy a 20% coupon plus a 20% sale. Listen, have a good time. Have a good time. Enjoy it. Enjoy yourself. Don't stress about it. Now, don't be out there stressed out because you forgot somebody or, you ran out of money. Shop within your budget. If you overlook somebody, hopefully that person knows you and knows your heart, that you didn't do it on purpose, that it's just a mistake, and that you can not lose some sleep over, not being able to do 3,000% of what you wanted to do and be happy with the 100% that you were able to accomplish. So,
Mckenna, do you remember when you had some co-workers that you were really cool with at work? You guys look forward to see each other, maybe have lunch together. And you remember like years ago, even 5 years ago, you'd be like, I'm gonna get them something for Christmas. And that neighbor that is so sweet that's always looking out when, you have package or if somebody's walking around, I'm gonna get them something for Christmas. If you have children, you're like, I'm gonna get the bus driver something for Christmas. Do you notice a shift that is like, yeah?
Yeah.
Do you notice that? It's like not like, oh, what you want for Christmas, or are we exchanging gift? It's like, yeah.
It's not even brought up in the circle or the external circles. It's like you said, it's like, yeah.
I just said with the nieces and nephew, and my grandson, I said, that's it. My mother is so up in the air because I've been doing stuff all through the year for her. So at this point, I'm like, But you can't be upset with anyone if you don't get anything for Christmas. You can't feel bad for not getting someone anything for Christmas because it's just so expensive as it is. I went to the grocery store earlier, like an hour ago, and I just got a few things. And I promise you, I looked at the stuff on the belt, and when they put in the bag, I said, 3 years ago, not 5, but 3 years ago, this would have been a $50 bag.
Mm-hmm.
I'm doubling this bag. I'm sitting here looking like, wow.
Mm-hmm. And it's almost like you go to the grocery store because we tend to buy the same things. We buy the same staple items in our house. We buy the same types of things. Every once in a while, you might add something in the rotation. But for the most part, your shopping list is the same. And you're absolutely right. You go to the register and you're thinking, that's not what this costs because, we grew up on the prices, right? So we know what the prices are. And you're looking at this item like, this is almost $1 more. It's 80 cents more. It's $1.25 more. And let's not get started on fresh fruits and vegetables because, I do like a fresh fruit and I do like a fresh vegetable. I mean, I love frozen vegetables, but I want a fresh cabbage. I want onions. I'm like, why are onions? These onions are $6. What? I'm confused.
Okay, hold on. So it's the Christmas season, right?
Yes.
So what's special for Christmas? Eggnog.
Eggnog.
And I love me some eggnog. I would buy eggnog. I would spend whatever it is for eggnog. But I actually walked past eggnog this time. It was
how much was
it? Pint? $5.49.
I was about to say $3.99. You see how the right? You see how it was $3.99?
No, ma'am. It was $5.49. And I looked at, and it's the skinny pint is the smallest one. Not, I walked away. I kept on pushing my cart. I said, you know what? I'd rather buy cooking olive oil add a couple of more dollars on that. I was like, am I not going to have eggnog this year?
And that goes with your rum because I know you already have rum at the house. So.
So what's going to happen is, I don't think I'm going to have eggnog this year.
This is very disappointing. This is a gripe. If somebody call in and let us know or send us a message because now, I don't even know a good substitute for that.
There's none.
You could buy the
substitute for eggnog.
You
don't like apple cider.
You could about
the cider? The cider, yes. The cider. No, I don't like that.
What about rum chata?
No, ma'am.
Okay.
No.
Okay. I understand.
I need eggnog, so
yeah.
Well, I think I'm gonna sacrifice something. So instead of giving one of the teenager nephew, like say $40, I might give them 30.
Okay.
And then I can take the 10 and buy the eggnog.
Okay. I understand.
I think I'm gonna have to go. I have to wiggle. I'm gonna do some wiggle room.
I understand.
Because that is gonna be a treat. I couldn't believe it. I was like, I never complained about a price on eggnog because if it was $3.99, I'm buying it. If it's on sale for $1.99, I'm gonna buy it. But $5.49, I was like, yeah.
You might have to go to a different store. Maybe they have
Who?
Maybe you have to go to a different store and try to see. Try to see if they have it at Aldi. I don't know. I haven't been in Aldi in a minute. I haven't.
But wait a minute. With the eggnog, you just can't get any brand neither.
I know. I know.
You can't get any brand. Now, if I was in New Jersey, I could get me some ShopRite brand because the ShopRite brand be off the chain. And the next brand is Turkey Hill, and then the next brand is what is it? Old Comfort, whatever that Southern Comfort.
Okay.
Outside of that, there's no substitute.
So that they don't have a Kroger brand that's equivalent.
Because I cannot get ShopRite brand, because I cannot get Turkey Hill brand here in the South. It is Southern Comfort.
Okay.
So, for my dearest listener, plus my closest friends and family, you don't have to buy me no present. Just buy me some eggnog. You ain't even got to worry about what you're gonna buy your cook.
Give us some eggnog.
Some eggnog. I would take eggnog. So we do. But okay, so for our listeners, I haven't seen anybody chimed in yet, but I really want to know how they really feel about the holiday, about gift giving, cooking dinner, buying, like to even just what's that word I'm looking for? Hosting Christmas. That is what I want to know. Because what my family did for Thanksgiving, my cousin, he hosted at his home, but we all brought a main dish. And I believe that is so fair because everything is so high now, instead of this be on the host itself, that we all become hosts and bring things. And it worked out so good because everyone brought, his mom brought curry goat rice and peas. We had jerk chicken, lasagna, ham, so it turned out to be a curry chicken. Can't leave that out. We had all the food. So it was so many food and everyone enjoyed it. Everyone was able to take food home. So is that the new thing now? That's what I would like to know. Is that the new thing as far as everyone bringing a main dish?
A main dish and not a side dish, or a 2-liter bottle of the cranberry 7-Up that they have, during this time of year. The other question I would add to that is, do people still enjoy dressing up around the holiday? I know a lot of people work remote, some people work in the office, but do people still enjoy, dressing up and going to holiday parties? Is that still a thing? There used to be a time where there would be, a company holiday party, or maybe a community holiday party if you belong to some type of organization or that is sponsoring a holiday party. So there's lots of holiday parties around this time of year. Do people A, still go? B, do they still enjoy going? And do people still enjoy, dressing up and wearing your holiday party attire? So what do you think about that?
Well, honestly, I miss it. Working from home, there's really haven't been that much, outing and Christmas party per se. And I was thinking about something like that, but it was too late, like in November, like even saying throwing just a regular, nice, spectacular Christmas party at a venue and charging for tickets, because I think people miss that, going out, socializing. And I think that we need to bring that back. But I was like, it's too late, because that's something you need to kind of plan about it and try to sell a certain amount of tickets so you can know that this venue is going to happen and it's going to be beautiful. So I was like, that's something that I can think about for next year. Because I think people, like when we went out for our outing a few weeks ago, I noticed that friends and family, they were there on a Sunday. Normally, remember, Sunday, we would be home relaxing.
Yeah.
And chilling, getting ready for Monday. But I see that people still want to get out. So get dressed and go socializing. And I said, that is a thing. But nowadays, they make fun of it and say it's like for the people over 40, they want to be in the bed by 9, so they go to day party. But I'm down for day parties. 12 to 8, I'm down with that.
Yeah. But that's a good point. Some of us miss being invited to parties, and being like, okay, I can't wear this because I wore this for this party. I got this one on this Friday, and this one is on Thursday at 4 right after work. But I think it's a good time for people to do that, and it's not too late. So, if you have some coworker friends, or if there's a holiday party, and even if you didn't have a good experience, at your job, go and participate. Other people might be happy to see you. It'll be an opportunity for you to, shop in your closet and find something that you haven't worn in a while, accessorize, and just go have a good time. Snap a photo that's going to come up in your memories in a year from now, and just enjoy life. I mean, for some of us, it's been a great year. For some people, it's been an okay year. For others, it's been a stressful year. But what we can say is that we made it. We're still here in this year. And there are people who didn't make it, in 2024. Things didn't turn out the way that we wanted to in certain elections, and, different things happen, but we're here. Let's celebrate. It's the season, depending on what your belief is, it's still a festive season. And the overall theme of the holidays is to be thankful, to give thanks, to celebrate, life, to enjoy our blessings, and to share what we have with others. And sometimes sharing what we have with others is just sharing ourselves, sharing our enthusiasm, sharing our joy, sharing our stories, sharing our laughter, sharing our humor, sharing our dance moves, sharing our line dances. So I just encourage us to get out there and share. And that way, at the top of the year, we'll be ready. We'll be ready to hit the ground running, because it's going to be another year of things to do, and things to cross off on the to-do list.
Exactly. I think we need to get back to where socializing, the pandemic being, locked down, stay at home. And it's like we got so used to that. I went out, I went to look for my girlfriend last Saturday, and it felt so good. It felt so good getting out, and sitting down for hours, like chit chatting and laughing. We do it on the phone too, but it's nothing like being in person. Like we had a great time a few weeks ago. Again, I gotta stress it, because it's just saying, why put off what we can do? Since everyone is getting older, so now, of course, your mind want to do something, but your body's telling you something else, or vice versa. And I just feel that we need to push ourselves and just get out there and get more social, because we're not being social.
We're not being social.
We're not being social.
You know what? We're being limited. We're being social limitedly, just on a limited basis. A limited basis of being social. It's, you can count. You literally can count the people, and anybody outside of those people is going to be like, I don't do. Are you going? Are you going?
Yeah, we've gotten spoiled. I'm a homebody. I've been a homebody, but I noticed that I'm too much of a homebody. So I really said that I'm going to start getting out, just doing something, even if it's just to just do something. I'm going to get that, because I used to go to the movies. I used to do all of that because I don't need what I want to say. What I don't need. It's not a need that I have to. It's something that I want to. to do. So that's my take on, ending 2024. That's definitely one of my goals for 2025. God, he see fits for me to make it over in 2025. That's just my goal, to just live more, live freely, be happy, and most of all, just laugh.
Live, love, and laugh.
Yes.
Live, love, and laugh. I love it.
So, of course, we can have chat about haunted, but we got to talk about this real quick because my girlfriend and I, we have conversation about this all the time. And I learned from her, and then there's some time I say, I disagree. So you remember with our famous guy, Jesse Smollett?
Mm-hmm.
You remember I was like, something. You know how I felt. If all our listeners, you guys know how I felt about it. New listeners, I was like, something more to that, blah, blah, blah. But of course, last week, the Supreme Court, they overturned his conviction.
Yeah.
And it's not because he didn't do it or whatever. It's more or less like the prosecutor and the DA, they went so hard, but they had like a plea bargain with him. Like, okay, if you plead guilty to this, then you don't have to worry about federal charges. Woo, woo, woo. Well, however, after he did all of that, blah, 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 they turned around and guess what? Still tried to bring those federal charges.
Really?
Yes. So the Supreme Judge said, you can't renege. No reneging here.
No reneging here. Show your hand. Mm-hmm.
So they overturned it. I tell you, like I said, it's deep in my heart that I feel still. Some of it, ain't it? But this right here, I said, listen, some of the things we're going to agree and disagree on. But what I'm getting to is our boy, Jay-Z. Mckenna, you could go after me on this because I just got one thing to say. I don't believe it. Not Jay-Z. I never said they were perfect. I don't swear for them. The story is not, the math is not mathing for me.
I'm going to say this. There are a lot of things that happened that were not appropriate in the 80s and the 90s and even before then. And people did what they did, and then they continued life and they moved on. So to say it didn't happen would be what a groupie or a fan would say, because groupies and fans don't want to believe the bad things about the people that they admire. That's the purpose of being a groupie and a fan. But to just look at it from the perspective of, we were all teenagers and snuck and went to parties. Young adults went to parties, and you knew those young girls who would disappear in rooms with people who were 19 and 21 and 22, and you know that they were 14 and 15, and you lived in the city before you moved to Georgia, and you know people who know people. So I don't believe out loud you could say that you've never heard of a situation or been in a party or witnessed a party or knew a cousin, family member, or friend, or might have been that person yourself. We're not judging, we're just saying that we know somebody who was 14 and had a 19-year-old boyfriend. We know somebody who was 15 and had a 21-year-old boyfriend, and nobody said a word because that was such and such and such and such, and he was who he was, and so we let it slide because he was who he was. Now that part we'll leave there. The second part I'll add is without the consent. We won't use the word, but was it a consensual experience, or was somebody actually drugged and doped? And that's the part that makes it hard for fans and groupies and even regular people to believe that this could happen. But things that happened 25 years ago happened. They did happen. That might not be the same person that you are today because laws are different. You have social media, people have cell phones, you actually know better. Now you're a parent, you have children, you have a wife, you have responsibilities. So people do grow, change, and develop, but it doesn't mean they didn't have a past. And it doesn't mean that they didn't do things in their past that out loud they wouldn't want to admit to, even if it is the truth. And that goes for everybody. I mean, you have ministers in the pulpit who will who will allude to their past. They might not really say it out loud, but they'll give you just enough information to know that once upon a time they didn't talk so right, they didn't walk so right, they didn't act so right, they weren't so holy and humble, like, and it might not have been that long ago. I'm just saying. Is it possible? It's not possible. It's very possible. I mean, even the person who is going to lead our country in 2025 has a history of, and we'll just leave it right there. And he's the leader. He's about to be the leader of the free world. I know it's tough.
Everything you said was correct. But remember, this is just not a neighborhood party. How do we know where this party is? How do we get there? It's not a round of, hey, stumbling, you walking past in the neighborhood and you see all these cars and you decide to go inside. How? We didn't have cell phone. We didn't have social media. Like, boom, boom, boom.
You knew people.
I'm just saying.
You get to those parties because of who you know. It's just like anything else. It's a who you know situation. Hey, girl, so and so is having a party. What? And then when you get to the party, you either have to have a code, a password, an invite. You remember these parties? These were those parties that you could not get in unless you either knew somebody, if you were the cousin to the bouncer, you could get in. If your name was on the list and you were the +1, you could get in. If you went to the concert, back then those concerts might be in like smaller clubs, and you went backstage and got to know somebody backstage, they could walk you into the party. We remember how this happened. Somebody could walk you into a party at that particular time. You didn't have to have an ID if you got walked into the party. If you happen to walk up at the same time as a group walked up and he looked at you and gave you that nod, you could get in the party. You got your head down because you know I'm telling the truth. You could get in the party. You probably gotten into a party before that you didn't pay for, that you weren't invited to. Come on now. Come on, Tonia. Come on.
So listen, and I'm laughing because my girlfriend, I know she over there like, tell her, Mckenna, tell her. Hey, Mckenna. My girlfriend over there is tell her, Mckenna. Look, tell her, Mckenna, tell her. That's what I told her. I'm still on the fence with it. I'm not convinced yet.
And I'm not saying that this actually. I'm not saying that this situation actually happened.
Right.
But I'm saying that it's not that it couldn't happen, because we know how these things happen. We know exactly how. And it's 20, 30 years later, so it's the why now situation. But it doesn't mean that situation didn't happen, that person wasn't impacted by it, and that person who was accused or others who may have been there shouldn't apologize or take ownership of their past in some way. Maybe it's not a situation where they go back to each person, but maybe it's a situation where they're in private with the God of their understanding, with their therapist, with their wife, has some accountability and says, you know what, I can't speak to everything that I've done because I don't remember everything, for one. When you're drinking and partying and under the influence and living that lifestyle, you're not going to remember every person that you may have offended, groped, unwarranted. I mean, we've been places where people try to grope on you and you're like, boy, get away from me. We've been in that situation. Like, so you might not be able to apologize for everything, but you can own it in some kind of way and say, you know what, there might have been a situation in the past where, and like I said, if they do it in private, if they do it with their therapist or their priest or their counselor or their wife or their immediate circle, I think the conversation needs to be had in the music industry. Like, what was okay? That's not, yesterday's price is not today's price. Yesterday we could call them bees and hoes. Yesterday we could, I won't even bring in R. Kelly. We could do some of that kind of stuff. That's not what we can do today. And if we did participate in the 90s, we need to make a hard pivot and acknowledge and apologize, because that really did impact some people. Like at 14, if you did sneak into the party and you did end up hooking up with somebody and end up in a room that you didn't really mean to be in, you just was going with the flow, and then ended up in a situation where you didn't consent and you tried to say no, but You know, you know, when people are already there, they don't want to hear the no. That could impact you. You know, and there are women who have that real story who don't share that story where, you know, something happened to them that they didn't actually really consent to, but it's not like you can go home and tell because you weren't supposed to be there in the first place. You're not going to, you know, and then we grew up in the generation where you don't necessarily get the gentle parenting. You get the, you shouldn't have been there in the first place, being fast and, you know, grown. And so there are, I think there's still room for some accountability on both places um, where the industry, and I'm not just putting it on Jay Z or R. Kelly or P Diddy, but the industry itself,
The industry itself.
from the executives to the owners of the record companies, the industry itself needs to um, vet its own culture and make a sharp change from the past and take some ownership and really have a culture of respect and a culture of accountability and a culture of where artists feel safe and people who attend artist events can feel safe. So that's what I think. I think it's bigger than just the artists. It's the industry, and the industry needs to shift and have a culture change.
I definitely agree with that. We'll see how this play out because my thing was because one of the things in the lawsuit is said, and the father picked her up from the party. But what I like, not only Jay-Z, of course he did a statement, a public statement, but what I saw that and I said, and maybe even said, I agree. If it's the thing that this happened, all these people are coming together, but they want to stay anonymous. Cassie didn't stay anonymous. And these are people who have a lot to lose. So again, why we're Jane Doe? And I think because America, it's so easy to sue. And because a lot of artists, because they know they have been in position and situation that, if someone come and say, hey, this person did this to me, and that artist or what type of celebrity might come and say, I don't feel like dealing with this. Settle this. Tell the attorney, just settle this and let it go. I don't want to, nothing else can be said about this. I know that I'm innocent, but I just don't want to go through this. And I really feel that's what happened with P. Diddy with the whole Cassie incident. I feel he did not want it to come out that he physically used to beat her up. He had her doing other things to other people sexually. I think and that he does man and woman. I just believe the reason why he settled really quickly was because he just did not want his business out on the street like that. Because that was an industry, people who attended those things was hush hush. Even his children's mother. The things, if anybody saw a lot, it was her. And you never heard, because the book that they said she wrote, she had nothing to do with it. There was nothing like that. Because even, I think it would have been a longer time before. Like the vixen, the video vixen young lady, even with her, I feel that she would have even bought some things in her book about it. But I'm just saying, it was a lot of stuff that he knows that he does. Baby oil and the baby all drugged. Because I don't think he just drugged them. I think they all, including his behind, was all drugged. He just didn't want all of those things to come out. Why I felt that he settled that case so quickly. But then it opened up the door for more to come. And I believe some of it is not true, and I believe some of it is true.
That's a good point too. That it's going to be hard to tease through what parts are facts because A, we weren't there. B, this is 20 years ago. So, memory gets distorted because there's been so many parties and so many incidents and so many things that have happened in those 20 years. The people who were victims tend to remember their part, because it happened to them. Everybody else who was just out there having a good time might not remember it because they were part of the fun, but they weren't part of the abuse, so to speak. And then back to the why do anonymous, shame, guilt, like, I carried this for so long and who's going to believe me? And then the other thing is, remember that this was a culture. So just because you were the 14-year-old and it happened to you, I'm just using this as an example, and it happened to you, then as a result of that, that might have turned you into a person who went to more and more parties after that, versus a person who, if they hadn't had that experience, would have maybe snuck out and gone to another party, but not been at every one of them, if you understand what I'm saying with that. So that's the other part where, when you identify yourself, your life all of a sudden is going to be under a microscope as well. And there may have been things that you've done in your life that also weren't right, that also weren't wholesome or respectable by other people's standards. And now that part of your life is going to be exposed. So it puts you in a vulnerable situation as well. So it's tough. It's very tough to critique what's happening because there's more questions than answers. We also believe that this is not going to be the last. There's going to be more of this to come. More people are going to come forward. And then, if Sean goes on actual trial and videos and things are released, then we'll get to have access to more information of other people who may have been involved. So, but I think it's a distraction. I still think it's a distraction from what else was going on. Like these executives and these owners of this company, were they creating a culture where they wanted this to happen for their own reasons? And I think that we are focused on the people in our community, but it wasn't just people in our community who participated in this. This culture spans greater. We were introduced to it because the record, and we were introduced to it and participated in it based on what we were introduced to.
Say it out loud, because I said the same thing. Because I said, if you think about who's behind the major radio record labels, like Bad Boys still have to be, they're under someone. We have Clive Davis. I believe strongly it started from those days. Quincy Jones era, even Barry Gordy. I believe that it started back there, but the new generation just added more in it. I believe they had orgy parties. I believe from those back there, they had those type of parties. But then, you got the new generation that decides to bring drugs and a big bed outside in on the lawn. You have one party. When that party goes down, then you have a different party out here. What they call it, crack out. What they call it, some. They just, they added more. So it started. There was a root. And then these branches, the younger branches, like, you know what? Let's put some spice on this. Well, let's do it this way. Matter of fact, we're going to video this. But I might be home, chilling, bored. Let me play that back. Let me see how that part, because I was busy doing my own thing. I didn't get to see what Mckenna was doing over there. So I just think, a lot of that. So please, my listeners, our listeners, I'm not picking up for them. I'm just saying there is some truth and there is some lies. It's unfortunate we have to think that way. I just try to be mutual, to look at both sides. Definitely, for the lies, their family and their children involved. That's where I'm at with that.
Yeah.
So we'll see how this play out.
We will see how, because it's going to play out publicly. So we're going to see how it plays out. And, to your point, there's nothing new under the sun. These kind of parties they had in the Roman Empire, in the Catholic Church. I mean, it's not new. Sexual exploitation and orgies and, none of that is new. It's just being exposed. And we're in a part of our history where, things are recorded and people are coming forward for personal gain, for all kinds of reasons. And so it's devastating all around because it affects so many people. All of the people that have to work on the cases, they're stressed out because they've got to keep confidentiality. And if I know you're on the case, I'm like, yo, Tonia, what you got? And I got to say, now, Tony, I told you I can't talk about it. Like it's stressful. Everybody that's involved, from the person at the courthouse to the person who's receiving the records to the person who is doing their investigation, to the person who sent the allegation in, their family is like, did she do it? It's anonymous. Like, I'm reading this. I wonder if this was such and such. It's a lot. People are stressed out about it, and it's not an easy time for anyone. So I agree. There's more questions than answers. There's always going to be truth and lies. It's just a good reminder to hold ourselves accountable for our own behaviors because, we don't want all our sins coming to the light. We've done some things that we might not want other people to know. And then the other part I would just say is, talk to the young people. Talk to young people about when they leave the house and how they should conduct themselves and, staying in groups and not posting all your business on social media. Practice saying no before you go, so that when you get in that situation, you're not uncomfortable saying no. If you're uncomfortable saying no and he touches you the first time and you just go like this and then you don't actually verbalize the no, then he might think that it's okay to continue. So I think it's a learning opportunity for us to reclaim our culture and reclaim our people and bring us close and say, let's talk about this. Let's talk about what happens when you go to these parties. Let's talk to our young men about, shoot your shot, but if it's not a confirmed yes, if you don't have verbal consent, just like when you go to the doctor and you have to sign your consent and sign your waiver. If you don't have the verbal consent, pause. Let her come back to you and say, okay, I changed my mind. Don't force, this is the part of the conversation that I feel we should be having. There's a whole generation of teenagers that are exposed to all of this so young, sex and drugs and money so young, 9, 10, 11. You got 10 and 11-year-olds who are experimenting. I didn't know nothing about sex at 10 and 11. But you legitimately have 11-year-old boys and 11-year-old girls who can actually say that they've engaged. So I think the conversation should be in reverse. Yes, it's about the celebrity because it's bringing it to our attention, but we need to take this and bring this conversation to our nieces, to our nephews, so that they know how to conduct themselves when they leave this house.
Exactly. So talking about that, it comes right to this. So a few days ago on the news, they had where a 14-year-old young lady in the Georgia area, I guess she was talking to a guy online. Don't know if she lied about her age or anything like that. However, they were talking. This guy, he was in his 20s, I think 28. He sent an Uber for her. She decides she's leaving to get in this Uber to go by this guy's house. So, of course, she was reported missing. And I guess from the Uber, probably, the technology that they have nowadays, they were able to trace her to this individual house. Of course, when they got there, at that time, she was in the act. But not only that, this man, however he portrayed himself to her. She probably thought he was her boyfriend. He probably said he was 19. Who knows if she lied about her age. But he lured her there. She went there and whatever. And they caught having sex basically. But how about he had other people had sex with her? So sex trafficking. And they were saying on the news, they were like, that's what they're doing. They're acting, we all know this. They're acting like they're 18, 19. And of course, a 14-year-old is acting like they some 16, 18 or whatever. They said if they did not find her when they did, by this time, she would have been sent somewhere across the world and never being seen, because we know they drugged them out at this point, and it's a wrap. And I saw that, and I immediately, because I was reading it online, And I shared it with my sister because I have my niece. She's 13. She's going to be 14 next year. And I just thought about her immediately because she's now into, because, you know, before like 12, she's a little girl. But now she's in looking cute, wearing them baby hair all the way down to her forehead, you know, trying to be fly. I saw her in the mirror looking backwards. What you looking at? And so, you know, she comes over in the morning before she goes to school. So yesterday morning, I got her so good. I went downstairs and I'm looking at her because she just up there. And, you know, I said, first of all, let me tell you something. You could go ahead if you want to act crazy and be talking to these people online and think you're going to get some. Oh, look, I went out, like I just blacked out on her. I said, because wherever you is and whatever you think you're going to do, you're going to get caught and I'm going to be right there to knock. So you think you're going to get in anybody's car if you want to. She was talking about Ozzy. You know who you talking to. You know who you talking. I said, girl, ain't no much fighting you think you can fight because prevent you from getting snatched up.
Right.
Because y'all young and y'all too grown now. And I mean, years ago, it would just be a calm conversation. So you know they're doing this, but it's like you can't talk to them. Like I literally like crashed out on her. I thought I was like, yeah, and I said, oh yeah, by the way, and I just went. I was like, and if you think you gonna get in somebody's car, I said, you know these men. She was like, what you think? Listen, I don't want to hear that. Even those little boys in your school, they could be a part of it too. I said, we didn't have to worry about that. Yeah, they tried to snatch us, but they wasn't gonna send us across the country at that time. You know, and we walked in packs, so we was ready. When we saw that car slowing up, when we walking, we out. And we not splitting up. We running together and we screaming at the same time. That's what we did back in the days. I don't know about these children today. So for our listeners who have young teenagers, grand nieces, please talk to them. There is no such thing as I'm going to spend the night. At sleepover? No. No sleepover. So it's we really have to talk to and the young the guys. They're not off limits. We just have to talk to them and let them know. Yes, we know, but again, it's what they watching.
Yeah, the videos, the music, the movies.
Yes.
Their minds are just so absorbed. Like innocence is the innocent period is so short. It's really from like 0 to 11, maybe not even that long.
My 6-year-old niece told me, let me get in the camera, and told me, talking about her boyfriend. I said, what? Yeah, but we broke up though. I said, what? I said, it's all funny, but no. I said, you gonna be broken up. Talk about some boyfriend. It's just so amazing how time changes. Yeah. And I had to tell her, what you cannot watch at home, you can't watch it here.
Right.
If you can't watch it at home, you can't, because the grandparents and the aunties, we cool. Yeah. We cool, they probably could get one Snicker bar, we might get them 2. But all bets are off. Like what you can't do at home, you just can't do it here. And so that's why we really have a good relationship. I have a good relationship with all of them, but they know when it comes down to like the real life thing, I don't play that. Like if I can't, you play in the front of the house. If you go, even like you going towards the back of the house, bring your butt right here. If I cannot see you, you can't go there. So even for the holiday coming up, again, just please, everyone, just protect your family, your children, because like I said, yes, we want them to have friends and do the sleepover thing, but it's not cool. Some children go to sleepover and then you get a call that your child is dead. And it's just so much going on out here nowadays. We really have to pull it back and Zoom a sleepover or FaceTime a
But
sleepover.
it's possible. I mean, it can be all virtual. But I don't know. It's a good conversation to have. Like you said, keep our young people safe, keep them close, talk to them. Don't assume that they know things. I think that's kind of our generation. Our parents just assume, though, they probably know that. And then something happens and you're like, well, I didn't know. Well, what do you mean you didn't know? And you have to say, well, did you ever tell me? You didn't teach me. So we have to teach, we have to talk, we have to share, we have to have the uncomfortable conversations. We have to, even if they don't respond, they're still listening. There's even if they're not responding, they're still listening to what you're saying. If you're giving them good instruction, not yelling or fussing, but actually giving them good instruction, even if they're on their phone doing this, they still hear you, you know. And so e- even if it's repetitious, before you leave the house, what you're supposed to do, when you go to these people's house, how you're supposed to act, like that conversation we used to have before we went to the store. Now, when we get in the store, you're not gonna touch nothing. You're not gonna put your hand, like the conversations was repetitive, and we knew, boy, you better not ask for nothing extra. You might ask for that one thing, and if you get that no one time, you better leave it alone because you're gonna get that. Did I? What did I tell you?
No, not even a no. Look.
What did you
Andrew
tell
G.
Junior? What did you tell Junior? I know you told
Girl,
him
Andrew G was on the floor. We was talking about it a couple weeks ago. She was like, girl, you had that boy scared of you. Hey, Kim, how you doing? She said they will understand tough love later on. Yes,
that's
ma'am.
right.
Safety first. My Andrew G she said, girl, you had Junior something. Look, I used to do this number. Or if he's saying something, she used to be like, girl. I was like, let me tell you something. So his son would say, oh, because I do talk to him. Like if he gets in trouble with them and they tell me and I'm sitting down talking to him and I'm letting him know, like, this is why I show him the pros and cons. I don't, how some parents will say, because I said so. And, I do this will happen and, this consequences or whatever. So, he'll say, Dad, G-Ma is cool. He was like, she was mean to me. And I was like, what do you mean I was mean to you? So one day I looked at him and I said to him, aren't you glad I was mean to you? Aren't you glad? I think one of his friends had gotten in trouble or whatever. And I said, aren't you glad that I was mean to you since you said I was mean? I said, but he's like, Mom, but you'll say certain things and you will give the worst consequences ever. I said, well, what you want me to sugarcoat it? No, I'm going to let you know you're going to go to jail and you're going to be somebody. I took it all away. You're going to be Tootie when you go to jail. So if you want to go act crazy, okay, Tootie. So should I start calling you Tootie? He be like, Mom. But again, they don't understand that you're telling them this because, hey, you guys did not write the book. We didn't even write the book. This is our ancestry stuff, So, but I just believe that in all necessity, even if they're 20, that we're never too young to learn or too old to learn. So I think it's just something that we just need to do with each other and loving on each other at the same time. Because again, Jamaicans have this saying, prevention is better than cure. So if you take your vitamin C's, you won't get a cold. Because now you got to go to the doctor and get some medications. So take your vitamin C's, you won't get a cold. So like one of those things, that's really, do you have any stories that you can think of that you may have told a niece, a cousin, a godchild, anything that you can see that you have told them and they have even gotten older that can say, I got it?
I will say that, just the the lesson about it's okay to make a mistake and you don't have to get it the first time. Sometimes there's that pressure, like you said, when you're the auntie or excuse me, when you're the auntie or you're the big cousin, you get the chance to to let them know your parent loves you, and yes, they're going to have expectations of you. But just remember, nobody's perfect. And it's okay if you fall down, but just make sure you get back up and you try again. And also, your life's journey is going to be your life's journey. So just because you didn't go to school and graduate in 4 years and get that college degree right away, it doesn't mean that you're not going to be successful. It doesn't mean that God doesn't have a path for you. It doesn't mean that you're not smart. It doesn't mean that you're not capable. It just means that maybe you need a little bit more discipline. Maybe you need to focus a little bit harder. Maybe you need to manage your time a little bit differently. Maybe you need to pray in the morning instead of being on your phone. Maybe you just need a little bit of different structure. Find out what it is that you need in order to accomplish the goals that you have. Push yourself. Don't be lazy. Don't just quit because it's hard. And so I think that was, that was the message, that it's okay that it didn't happen right away, but it doesn't mean that you're just 22 or you're just 23 or you're just 19. You get to make a mistake. The purpose of the mistake is to learn and get back up. That's the purpose of the mistake. People are going to be disappointed, but that's their opinion, of you. You still have to have an opinion of yourself. That's sometimes what leads you, not the outside opinion. Look at yourself in the mirror and say, can I do it? Am I stupid or am I just lazy? Like, which one is it? Did I actually go to class or was I at the party and that's why I really got this F? Hold yourself accountable, figure out what the problem was, and get back on that bicycle and keep on going. Don't stay down on the ground, because if you stay on the ground, time is going to go by, And I used to say that time is going to continue to move, whether you do anything with it or not.
Time will continue to move, whether you do anything with it. I like that.
Mm-hmm. So our listeners, time is going to keep on ticking. It's going to keep on ticking. So, what is it that you wanted to do? What is it that somebody talked you out of doing and deflated your confidence? Get back up. Get back on the bicycle. Try it again. If you always wanted to knit crochet, go knit crochet. Take your crocheting class. Nobody's going to judge you. That's what you want to do. If you want to go to a line dancer class, go to a line dancer class. That's what you wanted to do. If you always wanted to go to, Mount Rushmore, go to Mount Rushmore. That's what you wanted to do. Get back up. Believe in yourself. People are going to have expectations, but it's your life. That's your life. That's your chapter. That's your story. Be a driver. Don't be a passenger. Be a driver in your own story.
Be a driver. You hear that in the Jamaican term? Don't be a follower. Be a leader. On that note, we're going to tune out. But listen, don't forget, you got to tune in tomorrow, Thursday, for the Reasoning Thursday with Lady D and Friends at 8 o'clock p.m. And on Saturday, we got the Lady D show at 12 to 4. Like and share and subscribe. Tell a friend and another friend and another friend. And then, make it all work out. So until then, we'll see you next Wednesday, God's willing. Thanks for tuning in. This is Tonia saying peace out.
All right, this is Mckenna saying have a good night. Be a driver.
Good night.
Yeah. You listen to the sounds of DJ Fourth Quarter in your ear right now. If you're in your car, if you're at home, if you're on your phone, let's gripe, baby.
Driving home and you're feeling kind of tired. Radio play the same thing every day. So you need a little switch in your life. Traffic got you jammed up every night. Tune in to Powerhouse. Wednesday, 7 to 9, you need to check them out. I promise I ain't trying to hype, but one good listen tonight, it might change your life. So what's the name of the show? You need something to just ride to on the go. Or you might be home, so log on. You can even dial in on your phone. I promise that you're gonna love it. Just try it one time, it'll blow your mind. Now I'ma say it just one more time. Every Wednesday from 7 to 9.
You're in tune to the Powerhouse Radio, linking the world to the COVID.